Good day again. It's nice to see you, although I'm actually just looking at a picture of myself because this is a video recording. But we are today going to talk about values and what values mean and why they're important. Values are critical. American values are different than the values of other countries, and they actually make a difference in our culture and in our politics. Now, to give you a little personal background, I talked about this considerably when I was a child. I understand most people don't, but I was a PK, a preacher's kid. And unlike many of them who were wild on campus, that type, I didn't have much excuse because we talked about things and disagreed about things over the dinner table every night. In fact, my father's one of his strongest beliefs was that nobody can ever truly believe something until they thoroughly questioned it. So I wasn't crammed down with a bunch of religious values or religious beliefs. It was much more what I considered to be important as a living style. Now, understand sometimes people confuse things because there are two kinds of reality. There's the reality of what the real world is. We often refer to that as the empirical reality. Those are the facts. For example, we are a democracy with a small d, or a republic with a small r, and we consider that to be good. Well, the facts are, of course, empirically that we are a republic. But the question is whether that's good or bad, of course, lies within our own personal value systems. What is a core belief? Core beliefs are things that motivate you to act and do things because they're right. The kind of things that we're talking about are really very basic kind of concepts: freedom, charity, respect, equality. So most certainly they're very basic things. They are things that guide our behavior. I think Cesar Chavez's definition of integrity, which I think he was a good example of it, was that you do the right thing whether somebody's looking at you or not. You do it because it's the right thing to do, whether or not it personally benefits you. So most certainly, those are things that we want to consider. What aren't values? Values are not things. We may value our car. I most certainly do. We may value our house. Again, I most certainly do. But they aren't values. They are things. Even education and jobs, those are just things. Those are aspects, things that we might want and might want to achieve, but they're not core values. Nor are they processes, how we do things. For example, capitalism is an economic system, but it's not a core value. We may think capitalism is good because it provides goods and services to us, or because we think it may promote freedom, or we may disagree with those. But neither way is it a value system. We also don't want to confuse it with political issues. Your belief on whether cannabis should be legalized or not is not a value. It's your opinion on an issue. The same with immigration, same with abortion, capital punishment. These may be important to you, and I hope most certainly some of these are important to you, but they aren't values. They are political issues. Nor are religions values. Now, we would most certainly hope that religion will teach you values. My parents' religion, which I'm not the same as they are, they were Wesleyan Methodists. They had a certain set of beliefs. But values were also taught: values of charity, values of equality, values of self-responsibility. These were things that were taught. And even though I may not be a Wesleyan Methodist, I most certainly have Wesleyan Methodist values, which I learned from that. So most certainly that's the case. Nor is your family a value. But again, hopefully, and I think this is the case, most families do teach values. Again, respect, love. Most certainly agape love is a value. I'm not sure that romantic love is, but most certainly agape love is. These are things that motivate you. Integrity. You aren't just supportive of family members and they're consistently for your own benefit. It's because you feel a responsibility, which is a value. Responsibility is a value. And you do it not because it benefits you, but because it's the right thing to do. Now, values can conflict. Anybody who argues that taxes do not restrict freedom to some degree is not being honest. Even if you believe in higher taxes, it may be necessary, and I most certainly do. But it is a restriction. It is a reduction of freedom, of what you can do with your own resources. On the other hand, if you don't have higher taxes, you don't have taxes, period, you don't have police for security, and most certainly you cannot deal with the massive problems of poverty that we experience in America today. Dealing with the kinds of beliefs of charity that I might. Well, you can maybe fool yourself into saying, oh, that's just something that can be done privately, which basically means it just won't be done. Abortion is another one. Most certainly I can understand and concur with the position of the Pope, for example, that life is sacred. But I can also understand that the loss of ability to live a decent life by a teenager who is unmarried and now has a child is also a real loss of freedom, quality of life. These are both value discussions. Neither side has an easy side on this. They don't just have a win-win or we're just right. You're making a compromise on your values. Aristotle made an interesting point. He believed that courage and he believed that discretion were both critically important values. But he said if you don't have courage, you only have discretion, you'll never be out there defending Athens. And if you only have courage and no discretion, you'll just get yourself killed and it won't do anybody any good anyway. You have to sometimes balance things and understand there are differences. Values are important because that's what we do in politics. Compromise. Of course, it may be that you don't believe in democracy as a real core value, self-governing, and therefore you don't think you need to cooperate. But I strongly believe in self-government. And believing in self-government, I don't just believe in it for me, I believe in it for all Americans and all people in the world, which means I just can't have my way. I've got to compromise. And sometimes it's hard to make those compromises. So part of what we do is work to compromise in ways that are most beneficial for all of us and in terms of how we benefit and how we succeed. I want to kind of end on a way in which we sometimes confuse values. I've often received papers when I require, I'm not requiring it for this course, on what your personal values are. And sometimes the arguments will come in that I personally value respect. My parents have always taught me that if I don't respect others, I won't get respect. If I don't respect my job, I won't get promotions. I would argue to those people that respect is not a value to you. Respect is a tool to attain personal things. My uncle Emerson, who's kind of a unique man, he was a big 7-footer. When I mean big 7-footer, he wasn't overweight. He had just huge shoulders, and he was a tall man in a circus for a while. He was also constable of Kerman, a small town west of Fresno, for 37 years. At his funeral, my mother went and talked to some of the people who were there that she didn't recognize. It's a small community. Turns out, some of them were people that Emerson had arrested. And she was curious why they were there. And their comment was, Emerson was somebody that could arrest you and still make you feel like a man. That's what respect is. You understand humanity in other people. It's a personal value. It's not something they've earned. It's something that you do because of who you are. Talk to you sometime soon. Wish you all well. Thank you very much.